We're ready to go. Hello, hello. We're ready to go. Unmute yourself. Okay, got it. So some of our states are like, you know what? We're ready to go. We're ready to open. So welcome to StoryTime, because StoryTime is open. StoryTime is live. We come to you live at 9 a.m. Monday through Friday. And I've been doing this 9 a.m. Monday through Friday. I'm hoping I can continue to do this, and even maybe post-corona economy. I want to keep on keeping on post-corona economy. I want to keep the story time going. Now, does that mean it goes to 8 a.m. or 7 a.m. or 6 a.m. or does it become a nightly show? I don't know. Does it become a weekly show instead of a daily show? I don't know. That's going to really come down to feedback that I'm getting from you guys, what you guys think, what you think the format should be when we get back in action, when we open back up, when we get our salons open, our stores back open, our economy back open. Now, just because we're back open doesn't mean that we're still not in the corona economy. One of the things that we're going to have to adjust to is the fact that there are these different phases of opening, but just the fact that everybody's been at home for the last month, or in our case, our salon's closed. Our last day was March 16th. So 1 month going on, 5 weeks going on, 6 weeks we've been closed. So as everyone's coming back into the fold, coming back into the mix, going to be a little different. There's going to be a little bit of hesitation. There's going to be a little bit of germophobia. There's going to be a lot of these things as we open back up and we get back out there, which is natural. I mean, you have to think about it. If you've been gone, you've been at home for 6 weeks, are you rip roaring and ready to go and get back out there? Yes, you are, but there's definitely going to be a little bit, I'm sure, of like some hesitation, a little bit of, I'm sure, kind of tiptoeing back into it, because we are excited to go back to work. We want to go back to work. We thought we wanted to be off more until this happened. Then we realized, oh shit, this is too much time off. Like, I don't want to be off that much. Is this what it feels like being unemployed? This sucks. Some people love it. Some people do. Some people love it. Some people, it's a way of life for them, but not for me. Not for me, not for you guys either. So I know a lot of you guys are excited to get back to work, to get back out there. But just know, as we kind of get my tea ready here. It's pretty good. Pumpkin spice with a little bit of honey. As we do get back out there, just know there is going to be there's going to be some hesitation on some people. It's normal. I mean, people, are they going to be running back to the salon? We'd like to think, right? Because their hair is grown in, their roots are grown in. Maybe some of them had to do a little, they did a little box color because they just couldn't take it anymore. I mean, there's going to be some of that we'll have to deal with, but people, no judgment. I mean, people got to do what they got to do. If it was totally killing their mojo and they went to Walmart, or they went to the grocery store and they got a little box color and they popped it on their roots, trying to at least do something with their gray, I mean, that's going to happen. No judgment. I mean, we, legally weren't able to provide that service. We weren't able to, on all of our hair color, it says professional use only, not for resale. We weren't able to sell color, contrary to, popular belief and what you may have seen. You may have seen people doing that, but we, simply let our guests know we'd love to if it were okay. We have some alternatives that are non-professional, like we've sold, color craft to guests, try to, give them a little bit of blend, put a little bit of life into their color, and to get them by these last 5 weeks, 6 weeks. But they may have not been able to take it, and they may have gone and done a little box color. So if that happens and you go back in there and, you see that, cut them some slack, right? Cut them some slack and let them know, hey, we understand, we're going to fix it. We'll get you back on track. But the thing about it is, as some of the businesses are starting to open and planning to open, are people going to be running back into the salon? Maybe, maybe not, because there is still going to be that stigma, that little cloud over the top of us where people are wondering, is it safe? People are going to be wondering, and they don't want to not come into the salon, but they also, are concerned, right? Is it safe? So one of the big things, if you're a salon owner, if you're a stylist, if you're a business owner, period, one of the big things I'm going to suggest is we're kind of getting into that phase of potentially opening. I mean, I know I think Georgia's opening like this weekend. They're going to be like a test case. It's going to be like, they're going to be like the guinea pig. Really, we won't know until probably 2 weeks from when they open how things are going. Because one of the protocols that they're looking for states to reopen, they want to see, or they want that state to see 14 days of continuous decline in cases before they open. And then there's a phase 1, there's a phase 2, there's a phase 3. So maybe, salons and high touch businesses and high touch, professions, maybe they're, really slated more for that phase 2, and phase 1. I mean, you can go, if you look at Opening America, I think they have the whole plan and it outlines everything. So salons and high touch barbershops and tattoo parlors, massage, all those kinds of things are more slated to like a phase 2. But phase 1 is going to be what's happening first, but they're still looking for 14 days of decline. And, there's a lot of people are like, oh, they can't take it anymore. There's all of this stuff going on. But here's the thing. No matter what phase you open, there's going to be some risk. But my goal, and hopefully for you guys, if you have a business or you have a clientele, or you have a company or whatever you have, and you're going to get ready to go back to work, and open it up, think about it, doing it in gradual steps. The way that they closed everything down, they kind of did it in gradual steps, which probably, arguably could have been done like bam, right? Cut it off. But opening up definitely is going to be one of those more gradual things. So as we get ready to open up, think about what your protocol is going to look like. Maybe write it down on paper. Maybe create a document. That's what we're doing in our company. We have for the Salon 1.0, we're going to have a 1.0 safe opening, guidelines and protocols to not only share with the team, little pause, to not only share with the team, but to also share with all of our guests, with all of our clients, with all of our customers, with all of our people. So they can know like, hey, this is our plan. This is how we're going to reopen. These are the steps that we're taking. And also we're going to be encouraging, our guests to take some steps. We're going to be encouraging our guests to, take a look at, this is what we're doing. This is what we'd recommend. We're going to make recommendations, for our guests to do this, that, and the other. There's no, 100% that they're going to do any of it, but there's at least recommendations that we can make so we can hopefully go into this with a little bit more of an ease of the mind, right? An ease of, hey, we're taking some precautions and these are things that we're going to do and these are things that we recommend. Not 100%, you're going to be able, the only way, and I was talking with my team about this last night, I was like, the only way you're going to be able to get 100% mitigation or eliminate 100% of the risk is to stay home. We can't stay home forever. We could, but we don't want to. But, we also aren't just going to be like flipping a switch and then everything's just, we're like live like it never happened. So we have to ease into it. So if you're going back to work, just be thinking about that. If your company's got some protocols in place or they don't, maybe suggest it, or if you're the one that makes those protocols or makes those decisions, maybe think about it. Thinking about your personal, your family, your personal kind of situation, so be thinking about some of those things and be thinking about like what the protocols look like. Be thinking about what you could do. Be thinking about what you should do. But as you go back in, it's gonna be a little tiptoeing at first, and there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, there's nothing wrong with tiptoeing into it. You don't have to run back into it and feel pressured. Like, because you might feel pressure for your bills. You might feel pressure for everything that's been kind of getting put by the wayside. You might feel all kinds of pressure when it comes to those things, but you don't have to feel, pressure to run into an unsafe situation, and know that, whatever you decide to do, if you're thinking about health and well-being first, people may be able to judge you for that, but no one should judge you for that. And if they do judge you for that, shame on them, because you're not, that's not the kind of game that we're playing. We're not playing with like, oh, you might cut your finger, right, doing a haircut. It's not one of those where that's easy. We can fix that. We can throw a Band-Aid on it. Not a big deal. That's not the game we're playing. The game we're playing is you can get sick. You can take it home to your mom, take it to your grandma, take it to your sister, your brother, your dog, right? We heard about that yesterday. Pets, and had some pets with corona. You can take it to all these people. Not just you can get it. And there's still a lot of gray area on exactly what and how it's going to attack you. So when you think about those things, when we're open, and like there's nobody, more eager to get back open, because it's not even just me. It's not like I have a job to get back to, or I want to get back to work and go to my job. It's not even just me. I have salons of people that have people like, so there's other people. So there's this whole chain of people, and some of them have kids and family and, and pets and houses and apartments and new apartments and bills, like everybody. But so it's not like, nobody wants to get back to work quicker and faster and like more now than I do. But at the same time, nobody wants, my people to be safe and healthy and not, put anybody in harm's way at the same time. So it's a tough balance of knowing like how bad you want to do something and when you should do it. So all of the businesses, and I've been listening to some of them, they have to consider all those things. There are going to be some states that are going to say, hey, boom, hey guys, we're open. Like a Georgia, we're open. But some of the businesses, then it comes down to the business leader and the business decision, and they may say, well, yeah, we're open, but I'm not going to open just yet. I was talking with my team about this yesterday. I was like, I'm sure the first day that we open, we're going to be not taking any customers. No guests are going to come in, because we're going to need to really make sure our salon is set up. We're going to need to make sure we have everything in place that we need to have in place. So when we have that first day of guests, we feel comfortable. We feel like we have the right setup. We feel we have the right things going on, because the last thing we want to be is or overwhelmed and underprepared, right? Overwhelmed and underprepared. And you think your bills are overwhelming you right now. Well, that's a temporary thing, right? So we're talking like long term. You want a thriving business, you want healthy guests, you want healthy you. So being able to, have, some bills that are weighing on you, that's a temporary thing. It's not going to kill you. It may, but if your bills kill you, then You know, maybe that's the way it was supposed to go for you. I'm sorry to say that. But maybe you just, you know, you weren't cut out for this life. Because bills aren't going to kill you. What's gonna, you know, happen with your bills, right? You're gonna be behind. Okay, this is a story. You're gonna be behind, and you're gonna slowly get caught up. You will get back on track. You will be able to recover. You will be able to figure out. You know, you will be able to figure out all those pieces of the puzzle. So those things, guys. I mean, yes, it's stressful, and trust me, you know, if I showed you the bills that I have due right now, you'd probably be like, yeah, that actually is going to kill me, and you would die. But that's not, it's not a pretty picture, right? But it's end of the world, no. You know, end of your life, no, because you owe some money, you owe some bills. So just kind of keep that in mind. I mean, as you guys are getting ready to roll, if you're a business owner, a small business owner, you have, you know, you have a business, and you're looking at, you know, this whole scenario. Just kind of keep that in mind. There's going to be some steps that, you know, you'll have to take, and you may or may not want to take, but you have to, because at the end of the day, it's not just about you. We're finding that out, you know, especially in the beginning. Remember, everybody was like so excited because they thought they were on vacation and they were partying there. Especially where I live in Florida, we had a lot of people that were just like, "Oh, this is like party time. Like, I'm off. I'm gonna go crush it at whatever beach or whatever." Yeah, and that wasn't the case. Yeah, it wasn't party time. It wasn't party time at all. And that kind of, in the beginning, that kind of started, and it was party time, and then that real quick kind of tapered off. We saw that taper off. We saw it kind of go away. We saw it, you know, simmer down. We saw it come back to reality, where people are like, oh, well, maybe it isn't party time. You know, maybe it's time, because now, you know, I just saw my friend get sick, or my friend, you know, or somebody or something happened. So as we're going back, guys, I mean, I hope that everybody is healthy and safe right now, and I hope everybody stays, you know, safe and healthy when we go back. But yeah, I want to get back. I want to get back just as bad as you do. You know, as much as I love doing story time every single morning, whether we go back or not, I'd love to keep doing it. But you know, I'd want to be back in the salon, back out there in the field, working, making things happen, making moves, growing the company. That's really where, you know, I want to be. But at the same time, I also want to make sure, you know, the few people that I love and cherish the most are safe and healthy. Even if that means there's a little bit of financial hardship going on, there's a little bit of stress going on with the finances. You know, maybe you sleep a few less winks at night because you're dealing with all of those things. But at the same time, is it going to be, you know, is it going to be better when we go back? Hopefully. Is it going to be the same? Probably not. But we're going to go back and do it in a safe and healthy way. So those are just some thoughts I was having this morning as I'm watching, you know, some of these states that are getting ready to launch and go. So as you guys are getting ready to launch and go, you know, and you're thinking, I'm hopefully getting your mind set a little bit of a tweak, because we've been talking about this now for 14 episodes. We already finished the first book. Now we're in the second book. We're talking, you know, talking through ownership mentality and ownership principles and ownership. So the first book is about, you know, your first year in the beauty industry, which for some of you, you may be in the beauty industry for 5 years, but maybe you haven't really had your first year. You know, when I talk about your first year, I'm talking about your first full year of commitment, right? And so that's where that book went. I talked about 30-year vets reading it. I talked about people in school right now reading it. And now we're in the second one, your first year in salon ownership. So what does that look like? Well, I don't own this salon. I don't have a lease. I don't have a da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da. I don't run a payroll. All right, well, still, you may one day, but it starts with a mentality. So getting in the mentality of ownership is part of it. Now you're maybe thinking, well, I don't even work in a salon. Okay, well, great, good for you. But does that mean that you don't potentially have any responsibility that ownership has, right? If you're trying to shriek or avoid responsibility, then that's one thing, but you still have responsibility. Maybe you own your own life, right? There's ownership there. Taking ownership of your life is something that a lot of people have a tough time doing. Owning your life, what does that look like? You take responsibility for everything that happens, the good shit and the bad shit, right? You're like, oh man, like a lot of us like to, when things are messed up, we're like, well, it's their fault, it's their fault, it's their fault. When things are messed up, we'll take, no responsibility for the L's, no responsibility for the failures that happen. But when things are kicking ass and things are awesome, you're like, yeah, that's all me, dog. That's all me. I'm crushing it. I'm killing the game right now. So a lot of times that's what we do. We take no responsibility for the bad, and we try to take all the responsibility for the good. I think there's a little bit of, a mix up on that scenario. That's a little ass backwards, as they say. So looking at how we could take ownership to a mentality, and then it becomes a reality. When you start being an owner in your mind, soon enough, you become the owner in real life. So that's really where I wanted to go with you thinking about being an owner. And as we're going through the chapters, we hit the preface, we hit the intro, we hit the why is salon ownership for you. We hit starting with the end in mind, which was one of my favorite chapters, just thinking about like getting to that completion of what does your business look like? What does your life look like? What does your everything look like before you start? Right now I've got my neighbors there's a new roof getting put on the house, right? And so when these guys come, I'm watching them, I'm taking out the trash the other morning. They've been here for a couple days. I'm watching them when I got the dogs outside. As I'm watching them, they're not just up there jacking around. They're not like just showing up at the house doing whatever. They're laying it out. They got step one. They're laying the pieces out. They got step two. They got, okay, this has to happen before that happens. They know what the finished product looks like, and they come to the job already knowing that. They don't just show up at the job and pull out the gun and pull out some pieces and just start stapling or shooting like random pieces here and there. So it's the same way. And that's really, one of the things, if you're building anything, think about what it looks like when it's finished and start from there. Now, does it come out exactly? You don't think there's going to be a hiccup here or there on the roof? Sure there is. Does it come out exactly? No, it doesn't. But, you wouldn't start doing anything until you finish it. And so it's a way to think about it. And then we got a chapter 3, systems, chapter 4, numbers, chapter 5, hiring process, chapter 6, career paths, chapter 7, you only have 2 hands, chapter 8, financing and construction, chapter 9, key relationships, chapter 10, growth and expansion, and then chapter 11, what if, the what if chapter. What if you do make it? Then what happens? Great, I got through. Now, in business and salons, having a salon open for a year is I've seen people have like huge celebrations after a year. It's a milestone. It's a mild milestone because the statistics. 97% of businesses are going to fail in the first 5, and of the 3% that make it, 95% of those fail in the next 5. I just hit 10 years last October, and I'm still, I'm not like, dusting my shoulder a little bit. I made it. No, I'm not there yet either. Because, look what happened. I hit 10-year mark in October, and then 5 months later, all the salons are closed. All at once, right? You didn't even like, oh, well, this one closed, but I still got these going. No, they all are closed at once, trying to reopen. So just so you know, anything and everything can happen. If it can happen, it will happen. So that's one of those things where it's like, I didn't think that was going to be the case, right? I thought I made it. I thought I made it, dog. What happened? I thought I landed. I thought I landed, but that's not the way it works. And so as you're like looking at your life and you're wondering like, is my life jacked up? Like, what did I do wrong? Trust me, guys. It wasn't you. You didn't do anything wrong. You didn't, if you're on Facebook, on the YFY page or Sunny D page or my profile and you're watching this, if you're on Instagram, you're watching, wherever you're watching this, Twitter, Snapchat, TikTok, website, it's not you, right? Shit happens. That's what the saying goes. That's how the saying goes. Shit happens. Shit's been happening. It's going to continue to happen. It just happens. That's the way it goes. So when you look at that second portion, that next 5 years, and you think you made it. So when it comes to, I guess it's really longer than the first year. As we're going through, we're talking about the first year as an owner, but it's really longer. The first year for me, I still feel like, and I have salons at different phases of life too. I have, the first location, the originator, is really where the 10 years is at. And then the other salons are at, 6 years, 7 years. I want to say one's at like 7 years. One that we purchased was already open for 8 years. We've had it for like over 2 years, going on 3. One is in that 2. Because we had, at one point, we had 3 salons opening at one time. 2 still exist. One doesn't. But so they're at different phases of their growth. They're at different phases of life. So that's kind of the case. It's like kids, you have a kid 1 year and then maybe a couple of years later, you don't have all your kids at once. So your life is moments in time that kind of are broken up in chunks. So that's kind of where our salons are at. So I'm not like popping bottles after my first year of being open and being in business. There's no I made it coming up. There's not any music playing. So second year, no. We haven't really, at 5 years, I think we got a balloon, right? I think we did. I think we got a balloon. Maybe we had 2 balloons or something like that. At 10 years, we're high, like, hey, 10 years, but it wasn't like a huge celebration. I just feel like, I don't know. I'm not about the champagne, celebrations. I think when we did our anniversary party after like our first year, I kind of got a bad feeling. I was just like, I don't know, like, what are we celebrating? What have we done? And we did. We had a little celebration. I remember having a cake. So I've never really been into that. I'm not anti-celebration, but winning the championship. If you think about how I talked about the quarters, first quarter, second quarter, third quarter, fourth quarter, we just finished the second quarter. If it's a 20-year game, and the easy breakdown, 5 years, quarter 1, 5 years, quarter 2. So we're kind of like in halftime. We're in Corona time right now. And then we got 5 years, quarter 3. So if it's a 20-year career or 20-year game, if you do it in that, and then at the end of that 20 years, you had a career. Now companies like the company that I'm with, Paul Mitchell, all of our salons, they just are now hitting their 40th year of being a business. So 40 years, that's 2 games. That's 2 career paths. That's 2 careers for people. That's amazing. That's an amazing feat. Hopefully, I'm looking at our company and imagining, that's another 30 years in the game. So what does that look like? But I'm telling you right now, as I look at this entire picture, the world that we're living in, I'm still excited because I know that there's still challenges out there. When there's no more challenges and there's no more obstacles, you're kind of at the end, So when you think about an obstacle course, if you're running it, once you get to the last obstacle, you're like, oh, you take a breath and then you're kind of there, and then it gets kind of quiet and you're sweating, and then your sweat kind of, you cool off, and then you're kind of like, you're there. Okay, now what? What's next? So I'm always looking for a challenge, looking for, a way to push myself and drive myself. And, that trickles down throughout my company, throughout my team. And so I want you to be keeping an eye on what's next. What's the future look like? What skills do you need to sharpen, or what skills do you need to learn, or what new things do you need to consider, so you can keep your own momentum going. There's nothing worse than losing your momentum. And I know right now, Corona economy came about, kind of stopped us all dead in our tracks. And I've been working hard every single day to try to keep momentum going. from me, for my salons, for my team, for everybody. I'm just trying to keep momentum going so we don't get defeated, deflated, and stagnant, and just complacent, because there's going to be more challenges to come. So I want you to kind of keep your eye on that. Keep your eye on the prize. Keep your eye on the future, what's happening out there. So as we go into today, and that's my opening, I like to have a little opening with you guys every morning. So that's my opening, my thoughts of the day, thoughts of the morning, thoughts of the hour. And so now we're going to switch gears and get into this next chapter. So the chapter that I'm going to be reading today is chapter 7. Now, if you have this book, I don't know if you do, follow along, take some notes. If you have your first year in salon ownership, this is chapter 7 we're going into today. So chapter 7 is you only have 2 hands. And it's going to really, right now, it doesn't matter how many hands you have because they're really not doing a whole lot, right? But we're going into chapter 7. And how this is going to really apply is for you not to be one track, for you not to think one track, for you not to be one trick, one trick pony. I can do this, and that's what I do. Well, if you just experience what happened, if you're in this, corona economy, you're going through this whole situation right now, how's that working out for you? Just being able to do that one thing. Probably not so great. So being able to have multiple assets or multiple skill sets that you can apply to situations, should you come up with a situation like corona, where all of a sudden you now are non-essential and you're told, hey, guess what? The salons are closed and you got no job for right now. Like, how does that work? So those are things I want you to be thinking about. Like, if that happens, not really if, it's just when. It's going to happen again. When it happens, how are you going to not be sidelined? Right? How are you going to stay in the game? And so that's something I want you to think about. How are you going to stay in the game? And then if you have any questions as I'm going to go through today, or at any point, throw them up. If you're, depending on what page on Facebook you're watching or where you're watching, you can throw up your questions. You can throw them in the comments. If you're on Instagram, Facebook, wherever, and I'll get to them. So this is chapter 7. You only have 2 hands. And we're going to start with a little quote. This is one of my favorites. Here's the quote. Ready? 2 is 1, and 1 is none. 2 is 1, and 1 is none. What does that mean? I'll give you a real-time example right now. I have a stream on my Facebook page. I have a stream on my YFY page. I have Zoom open and recording, right? And I have Instagram recording, right? So 2 is 1, 1 is none. You have one camera recording, something's going to happen to that one, then you have none, right? You have one pair of scissors, something happens to that one, then you have none. You have one guest and they can't come in, then you have none. 2 is 1, 1 is none. So having multiples, having a backup for your backup even, it could go to 3, but having multiples. So 2 is 1, 1 is none. So if you have, one set of hands, and they get taken out by corona or whatever, then there you go. You're at none. So that's where you have to think about how you can have multiples and have backups. I've been talking a lot about those plans, like plan A, plan B, plan C. Plan A is always going to get blown to shit. It's not going to work. Plan B probably is going to fall through. Plan C, D, and E are probably going to be the ones you have success on. I'm on plan F. I'm on plan E. But those are things. So 2 is 1, 1 is none. That's a motto that we use in the military when we're talking about our gear, making sure you have backup, ammunition, arms, firepower, radios, batteries, shirts, socks, all that stuff when you're out in the field. 2 is 1, 1 is none. So keep that in mind. This is chapter 7. You only have 2 hands. And here we go. Tired yet? Set your hands to your feet, to your back, to your neck, to your whole body. Get the picture? What we do, guys, there's no pretty way to say it. It's hard work, especially when you factor in the time, year after year, Standing behind the chair for a career. Oh, and you want to look cute while you do it. So you decided to wear heels every day. Yeah, okay. Let's see how long that shit lasts. I've seen some old school hairdressers with like 20 plus years on them, looking like heroes in a half shell. Another Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle reference. Nice. From being hunched over the shampoo bowl year after year, not to mention other physical conditions that seem to plague our industry, like carpal tunnel syndrome, sciatica, and so on and so forth. What am I scaring you? Even if you take great care of yourself over time, you too will begin to feel the effects of holding a 5 pound plus blow dryer all day, even if it's suspended from the ceiling, even if it's the lightest thing that it's ever supposed to be. You know, it gets heavy when you're holding it all day. So maybe instead of scaring you, I'm trying to get you to think about really designing a business that works, not only when you do, but independently of you and simultaneously as you do. Most people will never get there, unfortunately. Most people will have what's known as an entrepreneurial seizure, which is a brief moment when you fall in love with the idea of owning a business and they start their own business, but before they know it, they look up and realize they don't own a business. The business owns them. After the new car smell wears off and they realize the trap they've created, their love turns into hate until they break. Is this preventable? The answer is yes and no. Let me explain. If you really want to apply what you're learning here, I mean really execute on this material, then you stand a chance. You'll be slightly ahead of the pack, but still statistically likely to fail. I'm still cheering for you. Go for it. There's no better feeling than building a business that works. When I say that works, that means without you. If the only reason the lights stay on is because you're standing behind the chair all day, then you haven't built a business. You built a job. And in most cases, a very expensive job. The math is simple. Take a look at the top line revenue and calculate that portion of what was produced from you standing behind the chair. If it's more than 10%, sorry to say, my friend, but you built a job. I hear you saying, but Sonny, I love doing hair. And that's fine and dandy. But if you decided to open a salon, that's only one of your 20 plus job titles. You see, the minute you decide to become an owner, you are now the CEO, Chief Everything Officer. So it's decision time. I do want to give this disclaimer though. My first year in business, I really just owned a job. I was responsible for over 80% of the revenue, meaning if I wasn't behind that chair, we weren't making any money. That also means while I was behind that chair, that no one was running my business. At the end of the day, you only have two hands. So you have to decide what is going to be your focus. If you're not ready to completely step away from the chair, that's fine. But if you're going to build a real business, then you're going to have to give up a great deal of it. A real business that sounds so harsh. When I use that term, I'm talking about an enterprise that will hopefully lead you to freedom, both financially and time freedom. What does that look like? I'll give you a prime example. You wouldn't be reading this book if I wasn't able to build a real business, one that works without me. While I'm sitting here writing these words, I have 5 businesses operating in 5 cities in 2 states that have created the time freedom for me to pursue what's next. For me, being a purebred entrepreneur, what's next is building more businesses. It's a vicious cycle, and I love it. Today, some people, because of the way entrepreneurship has been dressed up, all sexy, are being tricked into thinking they are business owners. If you rent a booth, a chair, a suite, or whatever other term you want to use, newsflash, you are not a business owner. That'd be like me renting a house and calling myself a real estate investor. For that matter, even if you're buying a house and living in it, you're just a homeowner, not a real estate investor. although similar to real estate industry, there's a lot of fake news being pushed. Here's a test to see if you own a real business. Number one, you've run a payroll for your employees in the last 2 weeks. Number two, you've hired and fired someone in the last 6 months. Number three, you filed taxes in March, April, in the last year. March is when business taxes are due, by the way. So if you filed taxes in March and April in the last year. If you can't answer yes to the above questions, then you haven't built a real business yet, by my standards. That doesn't mean you can't, it just means you haven't yet. I would say, why not give it a try? What have you got to lose? If it doesn't work, you still have a technical skill you can perform inside of a great business. Hey, if you try and fail, come work in my company, because at least I'll know you have the courage, and I could always use more courageous people on my team. The fact of the matter is, as a hairstylist, you have to realize that the pension or retirement plan for most doesn't exist. So thinking about it, building a real business may be a path to explore. How are you going to create more hands? In our company, I talked about the career path that we have, but didn't really mention what happens after year 5. Would you like to know? Okay. Well, the next step for our stylists is to become the Salon 1.0 owners of perhaps one or many locations, so they too can create some financial and time freedom. While doing that, hopefully they'll also be writing their stories and sharing what they've learned along the way. All right, guys, that's chapter 7. So chapter 7, you only have 2 hands. So as I read that chapter, read back through that chapter and think about that chapter, it's one of those things where that 10%, I mean, I want you to think about it. Like if you were to step away from your business, you know, how long would it last? You know, that's a big thing we're finding out right now, right? We've been away for 6 weeks, hopefully, and this is a very unusual circumstance. These are unusual times. These are unusual conditions that we're in, but how long would it last? You know, thinking about that. If you stop doing, whatever your technical skill is, right, if you stop doing it and your business wouldn't last more than 2 weeks, or all the revenue would dry up in less than, 2 weeks, then yeah, you probably have built a job. Now, if you're the official owner on paper, that's kind of sad, right? You're thinking about that, like, and a lot of people are in that position. Like I said, the first year I was open, 80% of the revenue was me producing it, and my approach was I was hiring all brand new people, so it took some time to train them and develop my systems and all the stuff that I'm writing about and reading about and talking about in this book. It took time to do all those things. And once I did a lot of those things and had those things in place, then I was able to go and open that 2nd location, 3rd location, 4th location. I still practice as a technical stylist. I still work behind the chair because I really do enjoy it. I enjoy the artistic side of it. I enjoy being able to work with my guests and talk with my guests that come in. We built relationships over the years of doing this. For 15 years, you're going to build relationships. And also the financial benefits, right? I'm a business person. I mean, I'm not, shy about that. I enjoy making money, right? So those kinds of things. But if the business ends up, only working because of that, then why have a business? Why have a lease? Why have those utility bills? Why have payroll to deal with? Why have, negotiations on prices of different furniture, equipment? Why have all of those costs, right? If it's just, I want to have fun, work with guests, be artistic and make some money. You don't have to do that. You can rent a chair, you can rent a suite, you can rent a whatever and just be a solo, a solo artist. That's one of those things that you can do. And I've had people in my own company go and do that. And you can do that and not go into business for yourself, and not take on all that responsibility. There's a lot of ways to do it nowadays. There's a lot of ways, and that's what I would do if I were, but I have an itch that I just have to scratch. You know, I mean, those pressures that mount up, the potential, you know, of failing, the challenge of training people and leading people, which is harder than herding cats. All of those things actually excite me more than the possibility of just being like, you know, just doing hair and just making money and, you know, calling it a day. So not everyone's wired like that. So that's a wiring thing. That's why I talked about that entrepreneurial seizure. A lot of people have that, where they have this moment in time where the guest is like, "You're so amazing. You should open your own shop." You're like, "Oh, they think I'm amazing. Well, maybe. Am I amazing?" Everybody says, "Hey, everybody says I'm amazing. I should open my own shop." And then you're like, "Oh my God, I'm so good." That's called your ego getting the best of you. Because then you open your own shop, and then you're like, "Oh shit, I didn't know I had to do that. I didn't know I had to do that. I didn't know I had to do that. I didn't, you know, I never, when I was in the drug game, I never had to pay quarterly taxes, you know, payroll taxes, file business taxes, really file any taxes. So I didn't know. I wasn't a legit business owner. I just make money hand over fist and keep it, as much of it out of, you know, the hands of other people as possible." So when you go into your own business, you start learning about those things, and you're like, "Oh shit, this is what owning a business looks like." And then some people are like, "Yeah, this ain't for me, sorry." And there's nothing wrong with that, but just realizing that, it's called self-awareness. The sooner you realize that, the better, because you'll be better off. You'll be better off if it's not your cup of tea. You'd be better off for you, for yourself, for your health, for your wealth. You'd be better off. So those are some things to think about, guys. You only have two hands. You're going to have to find a way to have money flowing in one way or the other, whether it be not owning a business of your own, or whether it be figuring out another way you're going to earn money, whether it be doing some smart investing, which we'll talk about in a later chapter. You're going to have to figure out having some other flows of income. Because once those hands stop, you get too old to do it, you're crusty, you're worn out, you're tired, or you just can't do it anymore. You know, the money stops. You're still going to have 30, 40 years to live. So then what are you going to do? Right? So I'm thinking about that, you know, I mean, I'm looking at, you know, my timeline and figuring out I got to be able to continue to make money. And I got to figure some things out too. So investing, looking at how you can build, if you are going to build a business, what kind of business, maybe multiple businesses. There's other things that you have to consider. If you're just getting started, you know, you're building a clientele, or you're just getting started, you just open your salon. These are the things that are going to be the primary focus. And then as you get to that next level of quarter one, 5 years in, 10 years in, where I'm at right now, being a business owner, you know, or multiple business owner, then what's next, right? How do you, you know, take your, you know, people that I have now that are becoming owners, that have it on their mindset to become owners, partnerships, those things are things that you'll consider. And that's just you maturing as a business owner. So those are just some thoughts. That chapter, You Only Have Two Hands, a great one, gives you something to think about. Hopefully you guys got some takeaways from the chapter. Thank you guys for showing up at 9 a.m. Eastern time every morning for Storytime with Sunny D. It was great having you guys here. Look forward to coming back tomorrow. Tomorrow's Friday, so you know what that means. 9 a.m. is going to be the best one yet. Tomorrow morning, bring a friend, bring a colleague, bring somebody by. We still have a couple of the, lastly, I'll tell you, we still have a couple of the shirts. If you haven't got your shirt yet, these shirts are free right now. The YFYI iHeart limited edition tees. There's a few left on the website. The links, if you're on Instagram, if you go to my Facebook page, Sunny D Facebook page, you'll see like the links and the promo codes and all that. They're on there. Men's, women's, iHeart edition. You can check those out. If you want to learn more about the books or grab a book, you can go to yourfirstyearin.com. Those are also, there's a promo code for those. They're all 20% off. The t-shirts are free. You got to pay for the shipping. It's like $5. The books are 20% off. You'll be able to get those at yourfirstyearin.com. All the promo codes are on my Facebook page. They're also on my news feed. So I've been sharing those out there. Boom, 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 boom. So have fun with those. Let me know what you think. And I'll see you guys back here tomorrow morning, 9 a.m. We're going to get into another chapter at random. I'm picking it. Also, I'm going to tell you guys a little bit about our party this weekend. You know, we keep it live at PM Take Home, pmtakehome.com. We're having another party Saturday night. Saturday night party. Hopefully you'll join us. Tell you more about that coming up tomorrow. So thanks for hanging out, all my peeps on Instagram, all my peeps on Facebook. Thanks for joining me for story time today. And I will see you guys soon. Soon. Like real soon, like tomorrow soon, or like later today soon. You never know. But thanks for tuning in, you guys. Share, bring a friend, tell a friend. We're doing story time. 9 a.m. See you tomorrow. That's what's going down. That's what's going down. We're doing story time. Wow.